So we've made a lot of videos and we've talked about in a lot of posts, articles, what have you, about what people should be doing if they feel that they're struggling to land a job in the NHS. We've given tips, advice, how to review your application, things to do for your interview, etc., etc. But there's something else. So let's talk about that other option that a lot of IMGs are not taking advantage of. Hey guys, DeBreeze here. So look, I'm not going to tell you probably something that you don't already know, but it could be something that you've just not been capitalizing on. And what it comes down to is applying for a training job. What? Shock and awe. A training job, you say, Breeze? This sounds like a bad idea. This sounds like something I should not be doing. And why? Why should I apply for a training job? All in good time. All in good time. Let's first look at it this way. When you're considering the non-training jobs, we've talked about what are the different levels of jobs you can be applying into, where you should start. You need to first see what fits you as the doctor coming into this scenario. So if you check on our previous videos, we talk about whether or not you have an acceptable pattern of internship, because that could actually be the first training job you do in the UK. You can work and come in the UK as an intern under the foundation program. So you could do that. If you think, actually, I'm fully qualified, I have full GMC registration, why not the FY2 standalone program? If actually, no, you don't need to do the standalone, you're good on that case as well, why not apply into a residency or a fellowship, basically what you want to consider as a core training application or a higher specialty training application? And you can totally do that. And I know, you're sitting there and you're like, hey, Breeze, what's the catch here? You're not telling us everything. This sounds like, again, a terrible idea. But let me talk you through it. And of course, if you guys have any questions, you're free to comment below. But I think I will be able to cover most of your concerns and hopefully basically point you in a direction that maybe you hadn't considered before. Okay, let me first talk about why, somebody might say this is a terrible idea. The first thing people typically say about this is, people think you can't apply. They think you can't apply into a training program because you're an IMG or, you need to have NHS experience. So many things. Honestly, we have videos about that as well where we've already kind of gone over that. But because people think that you can't apply into a training program, they don't. And if they don't, then you kind of feel like, well, that's it. I couldn't. I don't know anyone who has. So that means I shouldn't. So I'm just going to kind of keep sitting here and waiting for something to happen. Look, the way that training jobs are structured, you might feel like you can't apply because you just don't actually know what you need to be doing. You have to look and see what the criteria is. Are you eligible? Do you meet at least generally what they're looking for? And are you committed to see it through? So a lot of times when people think you can't apply, it's because they think, well, there's no way I could have all of these things from abroad. But more often than not, you do. So what I would suggest you do is take it upon yourself and look a little. It doesn't have to be from whatever articles we've written or whatever videos we've already talked about for specialties. It could very well, you just, open up a search bar and type in internal medicine training criteria for applying for application process. See what comes up. See what you have. See what you might need. It could be that you're like, well, all right, maybe I'm overqualified for something. What does it mean? What do I have to get? What about a CREST form? What about an alternative competency form? See what you need. Don't just succumb to the idea that I can't apply for this. You have to apply for a non-training job. That's the way it is. That's the way it's always been done. Which leads me to my next point. So my next point is, people say don't apply. And they say don't apply for many reasons, but I honestly believe a good chunk of it is that IMGs haven't been able to apply directly into training posts. I can't actually think of any time previous to this, unless there were a lot of special circumstances that allowed you to. If you ask any of your consultants who've been in the UK for 20 odd years, how did they actually start out? It won't be them saying, oh, I was in my home country and I applied into a training program, because they just didn't have the option. They actually couldn't apply. So for them, that reality did exist. They can't apply. They didn't apply. But nowadays, when people say don't apply, you have to understand what's actually keeping you from applying. What is it that they aren't telling you, or what would you potentially struggle with? So a lot of times people will say, well, you don't have any NHS experience and you're directly coming into a training job and there's going to be expectations, and if you don't meet those expectations, you can get into trouble. Okay, let us consider this. So I don't apply for a training job. I apply for a non-training job. I have no NHS experience. Does that mean I don't have any expectations that I have to fulfill in this job? That if I don't meet those expectations, I won't have repercussions? No, of course not. But more often than not, in the non-training job, I may not have a clinical supervisor, an educational supervisor, someone I can go to in terms of like a training program director or anything like that, which the training job would avail me. So you're in a situation where you really don't have any structure or support, and potentially as a non-trainee or even a trainee, yeah, you could walk in your first day, it might be a night shift or a shift where you have to do something with minimal cover and you don't know what you're doing. So if that parallel can exist in both situations, wouldn't you feel a little bit better if you were in at least a scenario where you had people to fall back on, because training programs are already set up in a way that you have that structured support around you. Somebody's told you who you can go to and who you can ask questions to and who you can raise your concerns to. The non-trainee doctor, unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, they are just flailing somewhere because that kind of structure and support doesn't exist. Now, slowly, hospitals are starting to realize they need to be providing something. So you will find some, not all hospitals, will have some form of trust grade or non-training doctor support. The induction won't necessarily be on the first day like it often is for training programs. Before you shift into your new training program, you'll have some form of a mandatory, hospital-wide induction that you have to join into, because trainees will start at a particular point of the year, but non-trainees can start whenever. So you have something to kind of rely on. You've got the postgraduate medical education center. You have the director of medical education. You've got a lot of people that you can reach out to, and they give you, honestly, a lot of information, and you know who to go to and who to turn to. So you might come back to me and say, but Abriz, you can get into trouble if you don't do this correctly or you don't do that correctly. That still exists in the non-training job. And honestly, my opinion has always been, it's a lot of times IMGs who don't know better or who feel like they have to overprove themselves who get into these situations where, I don't know how to do this. I was tasked with doing this. If I ask someone for help, or if I point out, actually, I don't know how to do this, or I don't have the competencies to do this, someone's going to say, well, then what are you doing here anyway? Why are you working here? We don't need you. Just get out of this job. That's not going to happen, you guys. If you don't know how to do something and you've been asked to do it, ask for help. Please, I'm begging you, ask for help. We have some free booklets that we've put together on our website that talk about a lot of these things, and I will link them in the description box below. But it's really important that you take advantage of the opportunities to ask for help, and for the people you can ask help from. Sometimes it might be a skill set that a ANP, advanced nurse practitioner, will be better off doing, or a nurse, or someone else, and you just need to know how to do it, and you go ahead and ask them and learn. Even if they're, let's say an F1 and you're a CT1 doctor, it's okay. Take those opportunities. Don't put yourself in a situation where you can get stuck. The other thing is, if you really feel like, I need to I feel like I want to know what the hospitals are like, or what's the environment going to be like before I apply into, a training job, that's fine. That doesn't mean you have to do a non-training job. If you want to do a non-training job, you can. Your other option, of course, is to do like a clinical observership or a clinical attachment if you really want to. Go in there, see what the day-to-day is like. Get an idea of the system, how referrals work, how they admit patients, how they discharge. It always gets me when, people will say stuff like, oh, the UK, that's it, it's dead, it's done. Don't do PLAB. There are no jobs. Oversaturated. Nothing going for you. Do USMLE. You guys, when you take USMLE and then you apply for the match, what US experience have you gained? And then someone will be like, oh yeah, but you can do overseas clinical experience. You mean a clinical attachment? Because you can do that in the UK as well. Just my thoughts. All right, now the third thing that I kind of feel like a lot of people say, or I hear a lot of people say, is that, do you know what? It's pointless anyway, because you're not going to get selected, and they don't really want me, and this was just a bad idea. It was a waste of time. Why did I take PLAB? Why did I do this postgraduate exam? Why did I think I would get these competencies, completed, build up my portfolio, and join, anything in the UK, or residency, a fellowship, whatever? I'm just not good enough. If it's pointless, what's this all been about? First, why are you watching this video? If you are in that mentality that this is all stupid and I'm not good enough, I have videos where we talked about how no, you are good enough. But I will say it again here. If you really think you're not good enough to get into a residency program or a training program or progress your career in the UK, then do you know what? Don't waste your own time. Go do something that you think you are good enough to do, or that you will succeed in. If you're kind of in a mental funk because the way things are going, exams, life, etc., get out of that funk. because the only way you're going to be able to progress is if you have the passion, that ambition inside of you that I can do this. And I don't really care what anyone else is saying because I'm awesome. And because I'm awesome, that's how I got here. Because the same way I've said this like 1,000 times, but I'll repeat it one more time. You guys, you didn't get into medical school just waking up one morning and saying, you know what, I kind of want to be a doctor today. Of course not. So for everything, for every step that's gotten you to this moment, you fought for it. And you have to continue fighting for it if you want to find that success. If you want to kind of give up and say, I had a good run. Okay. But then don't say later on, I didn't get into it, or there are no jobs, or it's saturated, or there are no options for me. Because if you haven't given it 110%, I mean, honestly, are you doing due diligence to yourself by saying those things? Is it really fair for the people who are looking on and thinking, actually, yeah, maybe everyone's right. There's nothing out there for them because why isn't this person progressing? So do your homework again. If you feel like, actually, no, the sun's not going to shine my way, I don't think this is good for me, bow out. It's cool. You don't have to stick around. But if there's even a tiny inkling, a thread somewhere inside of you that's like, I can do this, stick to it, okay? Because it is possible. And I know it's possible because I've gotten to a training program. I've had friends who've gotten into a training program. I know so many IMGs who have done it. So why can't you? What's actually stopping you? And if you don't want to believe me, you can hear it from any of our specialty success mentors. We have this new mentorship that's set up where you can actually have one-on-one sessions with IMGs who've been in your position, who've been in your shoes, who've walked those same roads, who've heard all of these things, but they persevered. All right, they were like, core surgical training, I can do that. Internal medicine training, yes, please. Radiology, let's go. They didn't wait and, stick around and say, what's social media's consensus about whether or not I should apply for this? Does everyone think it's an okay thing to do? No, they were just like, I want to do this. I'm going to go do it because why not? I want it. Because I want this, I will work hard. I will strive. So again, I will repeat, do your homework, find out what's right for you. If you are still kind of in that soul searching stage where you just want to book a session with me or Ibrahim where you can talk out, what are my options? What can I be looking into? What kind of criteria? This or that? Hey, by all means. But if you're committed, if you maybe already submitted an application, if you're looking at a specialty training interview in a couple of weeks' time or something like that, we have people there who can guide you because they were where you are right now. And you know what? All the people we've talked to that we've gotten into this mentorship program honestly wish that something like this existed for them. So why aren't you guys taking advantage of these opportunities that are there? This is honestly the best time. And I know it just seems like maybe I'm a broken record, but these kind of opportunities, they don't just stick around forever. Training applications, when they open, you need to keep an eye out, all right? You need to see for your specific training application, when do those applications open and close? What do they require? Get at it. And in the background, if you want to keep applying for non-training jobs, by all means, there are no rules preventing you from then transitioning from your non-training job into a training job, especially if you're thinking, okay, but I just signed on for a 1-year non-training job and I'm going to have to break that contract after 3 months. It's okay. There are rules. Read your contract. It is possible. Now, I've said a lot of things. I'm going to say one more thing. You might be sitting there and saying, Breeze, you didn't directly apply into a training job, so why are you telling us to? You're right, it's a fair question. I didn't directly apply into a training job. One, because I wasn't qualified to do so. That's right, I didn't meet the criteria. And two, it honestly was not that easy because there was that resident labor market test, which made things a little bit more difficult. But if I had the opportunity that exists right now for me at that stage, I would have come to the UK from the foundation program onwards. So I want that to be something that you all think about. Knowing that this is such a great time, there are so many things that are available to you. And again, taking advantage of what's in front of you, okay? Please understand that there are so many people in different positions around the world who are trying to figure out what's their next best step. So once you've understood what your next best step is, don't waste your time. Don't look over your shoulder and see what somebody else is doing and wonder to yourself, am I making that best decision? Find the people that you feel that you would listen to, that you believe have a good judgment. Don't just rely on social media. You don't know who that person is who's saying whatever they're saying. It could very well be they haven't even taken any exams. They don't have GMC registration. Anyone can say whatever they want. But the information that's solid, that tells you, hey, this is what you can do, It's written there in their official guidances. So again, I'm going to say it. Don't miss out, okay? And as always, we are here to support you. We're here to hear you out. We're here because we understand. We've been there, and we want to make it easier for you, the international doctor, to find your success, to find your footing along this way. So please, if you haven't already, continue to follow and subscribe to all of our social medias, be it Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter, and we will catch you on the flip side. Bye.